Tristan with Nerdette's Newsstand with Bianca. We are back for another Bad Ideas, and in celebration of the Batman coming to theaters, we are going to talk about Batman Rogues Gallery and talk about the best of the best rogues. How are you today, Bianca?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am doing well. I am I told you beforehand, but my list is going to be very female centric. I definitely started to notice what I gravitate to, and I think it is time for me to venture outside my comfort zone of Batman and start looking into some of the other. Even when I was going, it's funny because I'm like, well, what about Clayface, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, no, I like Lady Clayface better, and I'm like, okay, it's
I don't know
time for me.
anything about that. Mine is mostly going to be from the animated series.
Oh, that's actually pretty perfect because mine's going to be from the comics, yours will be from the animated series, and everybody gets
Of
a
more than
taste of what
one.
they like. Yeah, exactly. So, you want to start off today? Who is your favorite when it comes to the Batman villains?
Mine's going to be the Music Meister from the Batman Brave and the Bold series, played
That
by Neil
is
Patrick
a
Harris.
great example. I would have never. Continue. I'm sorry. That's awesome.
No, you're fine. It's just my favorite episode that I constantly watch just because I just love all the music, and then everybody is just talking crap about Batman. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. I've never seen that episode. Neil Patrick Harris plays it.
Yeah, I was like, yo, this guy, his voice is so beautiful. And then I looked it up and I'm like, Neil Patrick Harris sings?
He is awesome. Have you ever seen How I Met Your Mother?
Yes.
It's
My
so
sister.
good.
Yeah, he's so good. And so I let my sister watch it because she was a fan of Neil Patrick Harris because of the show. And so I'm like, this is Neil Patrick Harris. And she's like, whoa, he sings so good. And I'm like, right? But you also will hear Black Canary sing. Played by Grey DeLise, and
Ooh.
a little bit of Green Arrow, just a little bit.
I
And that's
want to
because
watch that episode now.
I believe it's like, well, apparently depends on where you watch it. It can either be season 4 or season 2, and that's just confusing.
That's so weird.
I hate that. I hate it when they do that. I just know it as like season 4, like I think it was like episode 1 through 5, one of those episodes. I'll look it up.
That's so weird, but I would have never thought of Music Meister. I think of him as more of a Flash villain, but that's a really good one.
Oh, shoot. You're right. He was in The Flash. Oh, man.
Oh, that's okay. They kind of all share, right? Even Lex Luthor could be considered a Batman villain, right? Like, but
everybody's a Batman villain, so we're just going to name every single villain.
The answer is always Batman. We've had this discussion before.
Exactly.
So, for my number one, it is
Poison Ivy.
Oh.
I love Poison Ivy. Like, I love all of the girls when it comes to Gotham City Sirens and stuff, but Poison Ivy was always my favorite. There's a mini, and it's 6 issues, and it's called The Cycle of Life and Death. It's by Amy Chu. It's so phenomenal, and I think. So I've been thinking the last couple of days when I've been watching people's reviews of the Batman, right? And everybody kind of has their own version of each of these characters. Some people love the detective Batman. Some people love the stoic Batman. And I think that goes for all characters, right? So when it comes to Poison Ivy, I love the Mother Nature side of her, the maternal side of her. She's got Cycle of Life and Death is awesome. And then I believe it's called, so in No Man's Land, Ivy set up in Robinson Park was hers, right? It was just this massive jungle that she had. And there was, I think, a 2-part story called A Walk in the Park. And what she ended up doing in that story is taking over, growing it, making it lush, and then bringing in orphans, people that lost their parents during No Man's Land. She took care of these children, and not because she felt obligated to, but because she wanted to. And that's the side of Ivy that I love, the eco-terrorist with a heart. And both of those stories, like in Cycle of Life and Death, she has kids, like little plant kids, but they end up growing up. They were test subjects, and they end up growing up, and she ends up teaching them and being a mother, but still being like, a villain. And I think that, I don't know if it's just my kryptonite, my kryptonite's kids anyways, but like, I love that side of her where she could kill you, but she's not gonna, if you have a kid, she'll probably take care of it for you. Like,
Babysitter
I-
Ivy, please.
yes. I mean, not the first choice you'd probably want to have, but it's so good. I absolutely love that version of her. I don't even know. I was trying to think last night when I was going through this, and I'm like, with the way DC is right now with continuity, I have no idea. They need to redo like Secret Origins or something, because she had a origin and Steven Sajak did a New 52, but then if you go back to her original origin, it's got more to do with Jason Woodrow. So I was like, I don't know what her origin is at this point. I don't know what's going on, but all I know is that side of Ivy hasn't been seen in a really long time, and it's a shame. Like, a lot of people focus on the Harley of it all with Ivy. Focus on the Ivy and let that side come back. I think a lot of people would enjoy it.
I think so.
I love it. I love it. She's such a good character. Another thing I do miss about her is because it's seen as problematic or whatever now, that seductress side is kind of gone. And it sucks. Like, she literally had a poison kiss. Bring the poison kiss back. Come on, guys. It's not problematic. It's fucking awesome. I know. Yes, that's exactly right. Like, it's writing. It's fantasy. It's okay. I promise, guys. I promise. So who do you got?
Okay, so the next one is going to be from the 2004 series, The Batman. And this one's going to be the Penguin.
That's awesome. I actually don't like the Penguin, so convince me.
Okay, so would you say that in the Batman animated series or in the comics, that Penguin is pretty intelligent?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so take that away in the series.
Oh, no.
He has like a more penguin feature. He's voiced by Tom Kenny, who does the voice of SpongeBob. He makes penguin noises every now and again. Like, whack, whack. Like, when something bad's gonna happen and he's gonna get hurt. Whack! Something like that. It's pretty funny. So in this one, he has a whole family of, the Cobblepot family. The lineage goes back to like England, and Alfred Pennyworth's family were actually serving the Cobblepots for many years, and then and so I believe Alfred was the one who like got out, because the Cobblepots weren't very respectful to their staff, and so what Oswald decided to do was that he left Gotham City and he spent a few years, they call it traveling the Orient, so it's like they went like probably all over Asia or something, and he got 2 bodyguards, which are called the Kabuki Twins, which are silent female assassins.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you see them usually throughout the story with him when he just calls on them, snaps his fingers or whatever. But it's funny because despite them being his bodyguards, he knows martial arts because he traveled Asia, so he can actually go toe to toe with Batman. And I love martial arts Penguin. It's funny. He's less smart in this one, but just seeing him fight, it just makes me happy. He still has the umbrella stuff though.
Well, that's awesome though. Like, so did you ever see the Danny DeVito Penguin?
Yes, it's so good.
It's so terrifying. I saw it when I was like 4.
Me too.
And I swear to God, I checked under my bed because of him for a year.
Oh.
I hated it. It was terrifying. There's actually, I use this as an example way too much, but I don't really care for the Penguin because he's like kind of a ripoff of Carmine, which is actually on my list later. But I loved in Gotham the Penguin. Like, he was amazing. Have you seen Gotham?
Not yet. I know everybody
good.
likes to recommend it.
It is, and it's so good. And the Penguin in that, I was like, oh, of course they're going Penguin and Riddler. Like, 2 characters I generally like not super invested in. And then I'm like, oh my God, I love the Penguin and Riddler. Please keep them around forever and ever. It got me invested in that character. But I always feel like I would like the version you described a little bit more, because it's boring when all he cares about is money. Like, I get it, people care about money, but to me, things are not near as important as people. So I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Your story isn't sympathetic at all to me.
Where did she go?
So sorry.
You're
All I wanted
fine.
to say was that Penguin is a big simp in this show.
Penguin's a big simp.
He's a big simp. He really likes cute, attractive girls, and because of that, he usually gets fooled by them.
Oh my god, that's
Or
fun.
or he'll learn from his mistakes and then, deceive them later on.
That's what I'm saying. This is more interesting. I don't very rarely I've ever even seen Penguin talk to women. I love it. It's so much better.
Yeah, it's super fun, and that's why I like him.
That's awesome. So for my next one, I have, shocker, everyone's going to be super surprised at my list. I have Harley Quinn.
Yay.
Harley is awesome. And like, now she's not a villain, right? But it doesn't erase the villainous things she's done in her past. I love the fact that this was a character that got introduced in the animated series and became so popular on that, she finally crossed over to the comics. I love that she is random and goofy and weird and maybe a little bit naive, but that's the beauty of it, right? Like, she's one of those people you're like, oh, honey. Like, I love it. I love that. Have you ever seen or read? It's more recent. I think it's like 3 or 4 years old. Stephen Sajak's Harleen.
No, but I wanted it.
Oh my god, I've always like championed Mad Love as the ultimate Harley Quinn story until this came along. Not only was it like perfection, Stephen Sajak's one of my top 5 artists of all time. I love his style, and the work he's done on the side also. But like, this was not only an amazing looking book, it takes this both sides of Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn is not dumb. She is extremely intelligent. And a lot of times it feels like writers forget that. They forget that she is a psychiatrist or a psychologist. 2 different things, and I can't remember which one.
She's a psychiatrist, isn't she?
Psychiatrist, yes.
But I think it
you're-
also depends on which freaking storyline you're using.
Yeah.
Because DC versus vampire, she's like, oh my gosh, dinosaurs existed. I'm like, excuse me.
Psychiatrist. Okay. I just made sure I looked it up. She's a psychiatrist, highly qualified in psychoanalysis, criminology, and forensic psychiatry. Okay.
I was right.
Yes, you were. She's extremely intelligent, and a lot of times writers forget that. And I think that's why I've been also championing this new run from Stephanie Phillips, is because she hasn't forgot that. She's gotten the goofy, silly part of Harley Quinn. Nobody forgets that part ever. But she's also got the extremely intelligent part in. And she's using like amazing stuff like the trolley question. She's using stuff that I've talked about when it comes to psychology. I love it. And like her in other stuff, right? So we have like Harley in her own book, but she's also been a huge part of the Suicide Squad. And we've seen her like the weirdest moment to me, I don't think that like, I don't know if it's just me or not, but like when Joker's face was not on his face, like when he cut it off, she put it on Deadshot, and it was like, she had him tied up and she put it on him. She started talking to him like it was the Joker and making out with, like, it was just the fucking weirdest moment. But like, she does amazing things not only in her book. And then Gotham City Sirens is one of my favorite older books because it showcases all these females that I will literally be championing here today. And she does a really good job in that book of, she's just gone from villainy. She wants to be a little bit better, but she's not sure how to do that. And that's kind of the journey we see within that. And I like seeing that journey, but at this point, we're already there. So now we're seeing her kind of go, hey, how do I be a hero? I'm already anti-hero. How do I be an actual hero? How do I do things the correct way? How do I know I'm doing things the correct way? And she has her own little sidekick, Kevin. I love it. I love it. I really do. I think she's one of the best females out there, because like Harley for a long time, was Joker's punching bag. That's all she was, right? Like, yeah, she was his sidekick, but most of all, she was his punching bag. And then she's got this story of overcoming abuse. She's got this story of overcoming Stockholm syndrome, and then eventually being able to get out there on your own and be able to thrive. Not only survive, but thrive. And I absolutely love that. It's a lot of character arcs in there. But if you get through the story, you realize what I guess the best way to put it would be like, it's female empowerment right there. I love it. I love Harley. And she's so cute. Come on, let's be real. She's adorable.
Harley Quinn, nice to meet ya.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Not a Harley Quinn fan?
I don't hate her or anything. I think she's cool.
That's awesome. So who do you have next?
Okay, mine is the Riddler from the Batman animated series.
Ooh. Tell me why you like the Riddler. I know why. I see he's another one like Penguin. I'm like, but I want to know what draws you to that character.
He's smart.
That's what I like too. He's so intelligent.
I like to see stuff that he comes up with, like these big elaborate schemes, and having Batman to somehow just like get out of it. It's the only time I can see like the fun in that kind of stuff.
Right.
Where Joker's just pretty unpredictable, which I guess is fun for a lot of people. But it's like, I know Riddler's gonna do something, and I want to see what it is and how Batman will get out. That's mostly the reason why I like Riddler so much. Plus, he's usually a very calm persona.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's calm, he's cool, he's collected. Now let's see what he can do. Though I did find so I watched the Batman the 2004 series way before I watched the animated series of Batman with my sister. So I was like comparing their origins, and I went, wait, this is Riddler's origin from the Batman animated series? I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's pretty simple. Okay.
What's his origin in the animated series? I forget.
Okay, so the Riddler from that Batman is also on my list.
I
guess I'll just say both of them on my list, and you can say both of yours on your list. Two more of yours. So the Batman in the Batman, so it's almost similar, kind of different. So the Riddler is like working on some sort of puzzle thing. He's really obsessed with puzzles. And then he kind of had like a love interest, and they were like doing the puzzles together. As a kid, he was disliked by his father because his father was very jealous of his intelligence and always like bullied him for it, which is why he went to like, he's like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna do all this stuff when I'm older. And it was pretty sad because in that story, just like the Batman animated series, he he got his like idea stolen or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So in this one, he becomes the Riddler, and then he captures the guy, but then you realize it wasn't him, it was his love interest, because she didn't want to share.
Oh my gosh.
And so, he ties her up in a chair and like tries to kill her, and so Batman comes in, knocks him unconscious. And then, but the thing's like, when he's unconscious, he starts crying a little bit. And I'm like, oh no. And then, his love interest, Julie, she looks at him and she's like, oh no, okay. She feels bad because she turned her boyfriend into a villain.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, well, you better be freaking sorry, man. Sharing is caring, okay? And so I found that much more interesting than the Batman animated series one. They both use their intelligence. They both like using puzzles and all that stuff. His outfit in the Batman looks pretty emo-ish, but I really love his long hair.
That's the animated series you talked about a couple times ago?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same one where
Yes.
it has Batgirl? Okay, I thought so. I'm gonna have to watch it. I am really curious with you liking Riddler. I know you're going to see the movie tomorrow, but I'm curious to see what you think of this version now.
I feel like
whether
I'm gonna love him.
I feel like you're gonna love him too. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely do. See, Riddler, the weird thing to me is, this is gonna be so cringy. I apologize for my opinions ahead of time. I love the Jim Carrey version of Riddler.
His Riddler is fun. It's fun
It
to
is
watch.
fun, and it's goofy, and it's over the top. I also watched that when I was really young, and I thought it was like the best thing ever. So that also kind of plays into it, the nostalgia of it. But I love that over the top version of the Riddler.
I was super confused when I saw him in the suit. I was like, "Is that Jim Carrey?" Like, yeah, it's that Jim Carrey. I'm like, why is this goofy guy playing a Riddler? Does he do riddles and stuff still? Is he still smart? It's because I'm so used to him playing like a dumb, over the top character.
Right. Like, the Riddler wasn't that bad in the movie. The only one that was kind of super bad to me was like the weird version of Bane, and then like Two-Face. I fucking love that movie. We're gonna have to do that as like a bad movie review sometime because
Ooh.
it's so good.
I'll do it.
Hell yeah, it's such a good movie. It's so fun. So next I have well, I'm gonna say two, but the first one is Catwoman. Again,
Yeah.
like
The whole Gotham
going
City Sirens.
yes. So we finished the Sirens. Going at like off of the same concept with Harley. Like, she's a hero now, but that doesn't erase what she's done in the past. And what I love about her is even when she was like not with Batman, you know, she was one of the bad guys. I love that she's been around like since, you know, Batman #1. And I love that she never really had it evil in her heart as far as like wanting to hurt or wanting to kill or wanting that. It was really just about wanting to survive. And maybe a little bit. Selena, go. Speaking of which.
Go, Selena. Go.
And really it was, you know, she wanted the diamonds. She wanted the jewelry. She wanted the money. It was never necessarily about like, you know, hurting somebody like Joker. She wasn't about chaos. She wasn't about this. It was a goal and she went for it. And a lot of times, like, she wasn't stealing from the poor neighbor down the road. She was stealing from a bank. Not that stealing's not stealing, but what I mean is she was more on the lines of Robin Hood, right? And I like that about Selena. I also love, like, just in general, obviously, I love cats. I do, and I love the concept of her using like her slinkiness and her agility and the ability to leap, oddly enough, like a cat to her benefit, being able to use that. And like, I'm not going to give anything away, I promise, but seeing this Selena on screen from Zoey Kravitz was everything I could have asked for in a live action Catwoman. Everything I could have asked for, like down to her shape, down to her curves, down to the way she delivers her lines. And Catwoman to me has always been like that character I saw myself in. Oh my God, it's not because I have cats. I swear to God, it's her personality. But like I always, you know, could relate to. And I absolutely love it. Her and Harley Quinn. But like I love the way that Selena is towards, you know, Bruce. I still think Bruce, you know, doesn't love Selena as much as he loves Batman, but I love Selena, and that's why I'm so particular about like the wedding. Everybody was upset when they didn't get married. I was like, yeah, cool. I didn't want them to get married. I want Selena by herself. I love that character enough that I want to see her focused upon, not that relationship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Also, Zoe Kravitz's dad is very, very sweet.
Isn't Zoe Kravitz's dad Lenny Kravitz?
Maybe. I don't know. I just saw an interview with Robert and Zoe, and there was an interviewer asking, like, is anybody gonna, like, ask for favors, or is anybody promoting your stuff, and that kind of thing. And Zoe Kravitz says, well, I think my dad is pretty hyped to see it because he's telling people to go watch it, but instead of calling it Batman, he's calling it the Catwoman movie. And he's like, yeah, go see the Catwoman movie. My daughter plays Catwoman. And I'm like, Dad, thank you, but it's the Batman. It's not Catwoman.
That is so fucking cute. Like super celebrities, just that like down to human eyes. I love it. That's adorable. Like I think she's like my age too, so she's an older woman. Her dad's got to be old, and he's still that proud. Like, that's awesome. I love it. So for my next one, since you did two, I have, and this kind of finishes out my girl theme here. I promise. Punchline. I love me some Punchline.
Yeah.
Punchline is kind of like the antithesis of Harley Quinn, right? Like, she is very similar in one reason, and that's because she stands next to Joker. But instead of being his punching bag, she's his equal. And I like that because there are some people out there that maybe just don't deserve love, and I would say Joker's one of them, unless she can also beat his ass. And I feel like that's what Punchline could do. Another thing I really like, I wish that we'd have seen. So as far as the story goes with Punchline, she was a big deal in Joker War, and then she kind of got relegated to the backups in the Joker ongoing title, and we're seeing her trial go on. I really wish, I hope after the trial, and I'm sure she's set free, we actually see her and Harley be more of adversaries than just her kind of, going around. But I would like to see that more. But another thing I really like about her is James Tynion came out and said his inspiration for her, besides social media radicalization, was the idea that a bad idea could catch on. And people could believe in it, and then it could become dangerous. And I think that's really smart because there's a lot of things creators use with in comics, in social media, that are kind of cringy, and you're like, okay, boomer, like you don't know what you're doing. And then there's this idea where this woman just did a podcast and posted it online for nobody to hear because she, obviously she posted it for people to hear, but it was just like at a random site, way in the back, nobody knew where it was at, and it caught on. And then the idea snowballed. And even if it was a terrible idea about freeing a murderer, people passionately believed in it. And it's so relevant. I love it. I think it's really smart. I think it's really smart to use something with social media, but not go super cringe about it. Like, I really am kind of over the superhero selfie like covers and stuff like that. But this, I think, was actually really well executed. And we'll see. I know her trial is ending here, like in the next 2 issues.
Aww.
I'm hoping she doesn't get relegated again to a backup, but just give her some limelight. Put her in the Harley Quinn title every once in a while. Give her a real great story arc where they go at it, and maybe somebody actually has some sort of consequence to it.
Instead, Harley.
Huh?
What?
I love it. Okay, who do you have next?
Ragdoll. From the Batman animated series.
So good.
I'm not sure if he's shown up in the Batman animated series. But I did see him in, the Batman 2004. Mm-hmm. He's a thief, just like Selena, but he's like a triple jointed, contortionist.
Yeah.
And what else? Shoot.
I love Ragdoll.
He's a thief. I believe he showed up when there is Catwoman. She was going to get like a cat artifact, and then he just pops out. He's like, no, that's gonna be mine. And he's like, and she's like, I'm the one who gets the cat themed things, okay? He's like, yeah, but this is actually very valuable, and my client wants it, so I'm going to get it. What's cool is that this guy, unless he's like stabbed or whatever, he most likely cannot die. Because they were fighting in a clock tower. It was Batman, Catwoman, and Ragdoll, so it was a 3-way fight. I love 3-way fights in that freaking show. So they're in a clock tower, and clock towers have gears, right? And a lot of times 2 gears would be together and turn together, right? So like in a lot of horror movies, sometimes you'll see people like fall into the gears, and then once the gears get close together, that's when their body gets crushed and they die. So it happened to him, but And, Batman and Catwoman thought, he's freaking dead. But he just pops out. He's like, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's your body made out of?
Right? Like clay? Come on now. Is
Like,
he
wait,
still in the show? Does he have like the triangle design like he has in the comics? Like where he
no.
look kind of gesture-ish
I
almost?
I have no idea what the heck he looks like in other media, but he literally looks like a guy in rags.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Ragdoll. Oh my gosh, there's the cat ragdoll. I love ragdolls. They just go limp in your arms.
The only thing I like, ragdoll to me, whenever I think of them, isn't see, that's another one they use in the animated series that's a primary villain for a different character, and I kind of like that because I've seen him in The Flash, and I know I've seen him in Starman, I believe, and then The Secret Six, but there's a couple different versions of him also. So I like Ragdoll. I really would. I need to see this series. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I really do. So for my next one, I have Mr. Freeze.
I knew it was gonna be on your list.
I love Oh God, I'm so predictable. Kids in romance get me. This story is to me what a sympathetic villain should be. You understand his drive. You understand that at the end of the day, all of what he's doing is because he loves this woman so much. Like, more than anything in the world, he wants to just help her. I really love that. And what lengths he goes for her is amazing. Like, sometimes men won't even open up a door, but goddamn, he's killing people for her. Like, it's amazing. I love it. And then we get the idea that if she's brought back, and we've seen her recently brought back, what would happen? How would she react? And I think it's really smart. I love the idea of having what's it called? Motivations from love. And I think it's a concept that all of us can understand, at least in a point. And I think that's why Mr. Freeze works so well. And like seeing him in stuff like Arkham Knight, he had a DLC. And basically she became unfroze, and they only had a very limited amount of time together. And Batman actually let him go, with the promise of not to do anything, because at that point his motivation was right next to him. He didn't need to do any, more and anything evil. And like, I'm not kidding. I cried during the end of that because I'm like, they know they only have a couple days together, and that's all they care about. They're happy because they have that couple days together. And I love it. Mr. Freeze is great. Have you ever seen the animated series episode? I think it's called Heart of Ice.
The Batman animated series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. It's so sweet.
So
I
good.
love him. I love
you won't
him. He's
like
so good.
the Batman version of the Mr. Freeze then, though.
No, why?
Well, because that's not his origin.
What's his origin? Oh my gosh.
He's just a regular thug who has ice powers.
Oh, why would they do that?
Well, the Batman animated series wasn't Mr. Freeze wasn't in the comics too either. So that's something they changed. There's a lot of people who have different origins from the Batman animated series. The Batman animated series, and then the Batman blah blah blah.
The Batman blah 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 official title. Yeah. You heard it here first. Why just the thug? What's the point? He's just like everyone else.
Yeah.
So that's the point. That's funny. I love it. I love his motivations being love. So who do you have?
Baby doll.
Your list is so good.
I would have loved to see her in the Batman to see what she would do. Just so you know, Poison Ivy's origin also changed in the Batman. She's not an adult woman. She is a teenager, just like Batgirl.
Oh wow!
So like they have a rivalry.
Sexualize her?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say
I
that would be weird.
I love the way they did her
people.
hair, though.
It would be super weird if she was kissing people, though.
Yeah, no. She hasn't done any of that. From what I know.
So tell me about Baby Doll.
Right. So, I really sympathized with Baby Doll. And of course, if you're like a pretty short person, then, it's very relatable. Well, when she was first shown in the Batman animated series, you're like, oh, she's just a little kid. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's like in her 30s and she has like some sort of
Yeah.
disease or something. And I'm like, yo, that's pretty freaking sad. And I'm obviously not going to forgive her for, threatening the co-stars and, wanting to blow them up or whatever. But when she's like facing Batman and with the mirrors, and she sees herself like as an adult woman, and then she just breaks down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. And then what was the next time they saw her? The next time they saw her, I don't remember if that was in Gotham Knights or still in the Batman animated series where she gets like a regular job. I think it's for hotels or something like that, because they come in, they ask for a key for a room, and then she gives them the key or whatever. And she has this big gigantic coat and it's so cute. And they apparently customers like say something about how small she is and her age, and I'm like, oh, I get that all the time. What I didn't
Aw.
like in that episode was that it was her and Killer Croc, and she was watching a Killer Croc trial, and he's like, oh my gosh, nobody understands me, I'm just being misunderstood. And she sympathized with that, and I'm like, no, he eats people, girl. That's not the same. It's not the
Not the
same as
same as being
you.
small.
Yeah. And so she frees him anyway. And she was complaining that entire the first part of the episode of she doesn't want to be treated as a child anymore. She wants to be treated like her age and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I completely agree with that. But when she's with Killer Croc, she ends up getting a crush on him, and then she starts talking in baby talk, and that's when I'm like, you freaking liar.
Oh, that's so weird.
Like if she just talked like in a cute way or whatever, I'm like,
Right.
okay. But no, she's talking baby talk, like how she did as when she was playing that role.
Oh, that's weird.
And I'm like, this is creepy. This is creepy. And my sister's like, yeah, this is pretty creepy. And then, despite Killer Croc, like, kind of being into her, but kind of not, because he visits other girls, and then she gets jealous, and then all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is just super weird. So I hated that episode so much. So much. And I'm like, you could have done something with her character, and you just do a freaking romance episode, and it's just so weird. And I'm like, thank you for ruining her. But
no.
besides that, I really like the character, and I want to see more of her.
That's awesome. And you can relate being, super short. I'm just kidding.
Luckily, I'm not as short as her.
Yes, that's very true. That's a good character though. I wouldn't have thought about her. I kind of put these three together because they're all the same theme, right? I've got Carmine Falcone, Sal Maroni, and Henry Descartes. They're all mobsters. But I love mobsters. Like, I grew up on, my mom used to, we had a VHS player, right? And she had like one tape that she would play. And I remember it was Goodfellas. And she like would play it over and over and over again. And I loved it. I'm like, these people have all this power just from, being, waste disposal. And I really, really liked it. So when I started, getting into comics, I'm like, this is cool. Like, this is the idea that somebody is so powerful that they can run Gotham. They can have and infiltrate not only the police force, but the government. And I loved the idea that it was like a constant dueling, especially with the Falcones and the Maronis, a constant dueling of who is more powerful. I love it. I love mobster stuff. I was like, my first real crush besides Batman, which is, was Tony Soprano. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, you can love your family and want to do what's best for them, and then go slit somebody else's father's neck. Like, it's so weird to me. But like, I love the duality of it all. It's neat.
I think that's fantastic. Their names almost sound like macaroni.
And then with Henry Descartes, he eventually, he trained Batman, and then he realized he was bad. And then when he realized he was bad, he went against them, and then they kind of left each other alone. And now, like in the detective and a couple other properties, they work together. And it's like, Batman understands why he does what he does, why he kills, even though he won't step over that line. So he's kind of willing to work with them, but he's like one foot out the door. And I like that idea of like working, sleeping with the enemy, so to speak.
Yeah, that's great.
So what do you have next?
The Mad Hatter.
Ah, you actually hit one that was on my list. I love Jervis Thatch.
Though I did find it weird how, like, I believe they changed his height in Gotham Knights. So I'm like, why the radical change?
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I believe he was, like, super tall in the Batman animated series, but in the Gotham Knights, I believe they made him a lot shorter.
I guess I always assume he was just normal height.
I mean, he was taller than his girl co-worker in the Batman animated series, and I'm like, yo, he's freaking tall.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So, like, he's a creep.
That's an understatement.
But, besides that episode, I do like how, he does things with his hat.
Like mind control?
What's it called? Could puppeteer or something like that. And then do Alice in Wonderland things. I love all of that.
I do too. I love, in Arkham City, there's a side mission where you go through and he gets like a hold of you, right? So you go through and actually live out his like demented dream, and you go through like Wonderland and all this stuff. I love it. I love the idea of him wanting his Alice and using that as a crutch because it's so messed up.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually another one that, what's that?
He's pretty messed up.
Yeah, he was actually another one that was on Gotham, the show. And he was like, but they made Alice his sister. And it just got all sorts of weird. Like, just all sorts of weird.
What?
Yeah. Just wrap your head around that one. I love Mad Hatter, though. He's really underutilized, I think. He could be a terrifying villain if done correctly.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think they just rather need to try a little harder, or maybe don't try too hard.
Don't think about it too much. Just make it scary. It should be good.
Here, take these drugs as reference.
Here's some acid. Trip for a bit. Tell me what you think afterwards. And let's write a new Mad Hatter story. I think we can all agree it would probably be the best Mad Hatter story.
Since that's what Alice in Wonderland is anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fucking acid trip. Come on now. I love it. So I know a lot of people don't like this character, but I have the Batman Who Laughs. I know a lot of people are sick of it. I get it. You're sick of it. Scott Snyder maybe overdid it a little bit, but if you pull back from the oversaturation and you look at the origins of this character, and he's Bruce Wayne, right? He's Bruce fucking Wayne from a different universe that got so demented that he ended up almost taking down the entire DC universe. He brought it to its knees. That shows the raw power of Batman. It shows the raw power of what he could do if, the butterfly effect. One little thing changed in your life. One little thing changed, and it led to this, and it led to this rippling effect that made you completely and utterly evil. Same with like Grim Knight, but I think the Batman Who Laughs is a better version of that because he's willing to go to lengths that normal villains wouldn't go to. Like, he's downright evil. Like, there's no pulling back from what he's willing to do. And I love that.
I also love that.
Like, there's no blurred line. He's great. When he sets out, it's not for love. It's not for Mother Nature. It's not for this. It is just to bring chaos and fuck the world up. I'm good with that.
That's why I also like him too. I'm like, okay, he doesn't really pull punches or anything.
He's awesome. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's oversaturated. I do know it's oversaturated. A lot of people got sick of him pretty quick. It was Batman Who Laughs over and over and over again.
I still see people who wear the shirts.
Yeah, and it's a really awesome looking design. It's so good. Then
Mm-hmm.
they have the Batwoman who laughs in Justice League Incarnate. And
I
I
totally
was
forgot about that.
hoping she was going to be hot, and she was not hot.
She wasn't? Oh no.
No, she was like literally the Batman who laughs with boobs. That's it.
Oh, I believe you showed the design. I totally forgot what it looks like.
It was like, okay, like I get it, but just have a little originality in it. Make it like a little bit different. I get it's a multiversal thing. Like it's, the Batman who laughs from a different multiverse. But would she come up with the exact same design? Would she not have some fucking kick-ass boots? Come on now.
Oh, she would have great boots.
Yeah, fucking fantastic. She would have like Selena Kyle in the Batman movie boots with like spikes, and oh my god, it would be so cool. Have some original thoughts, guys.
Did the Batman Who Laughs already have a spiked collar?
No. It's around his eyes. He can see. It's how he sees the Bruce Waynes, I believe, if I remember correctly.
What the heck? I don't remember
I know.
that.
It's
I think
weird.
having like a spiked collar would probably be good for her, like, or maybe like just a spiked rocker outfit inspired, something like that.
Like, how a lot of times we see that design where it's like this side of the head shaved, and like that would work for her.
I can see that working for her.
It would work for her. Come on, let's make the Batwoman who laughs sexy again. Come on, that is my goal.
And maybe instead of black, it can be red.
Ooh, yes. See, I hope they're listening. Listen to see.
Okay, so the next person on my list is Scarecrow.
Ooh, I got him on my list too.
Stop copying me.
I'm sorry. Great minds think alike.
That's true. So I don't remember him in the Batman animated series. Which kind of sucks. I would love to see what they would do with that. Did they show up? I don't remember. Anyway, I just love the whole thing. He wears a Scarecrow outfit, uses toxins, fear, blah blah blah. Great stuff.
And the idea that fear is the most controlling emotion. So if you can tap into someone's fear, you are basically having them on a puppet string. I love that. And I love the idea like that he's able to bring Gotham to his knees by not even leaving. Like he can set up, the fear toxin and all that, but he can just set them off, and he can make everybody attack each other. He can make everyone upset. He can control them from the comfort of his own living room. And it's fucked up, but it's true. Like, there's been a lot of really good designs with him, with his fear toxin and stuff, but I still think that my favorite design is from Arkham Knight, the game. He looks terrifying. I love it. I have, I gotta mention this guy just because it's crazy. I have Deacon Blackfyre. And
dang it, that would have been great.
The reason is like, there's nothing scarier than somebody that believes in something so much they'll kill for it. Because if they're willing to kill for it, they're willing to keep killing. And Deacon Blackfyre is such a religious fanatic that, and nothing against religion at all. He's a fanatic. There's, you know what I mean? There's a difference.
Yeah.
But he thinks he has to sacrifice people on the altar. And he does it over and over again. And I think it's scary. I think that idea right there is scary, because whereas we wouldn't see Scarecrow in real life, we wouldn't see Mad Hatter in real life, we've seen people like Deacon Blackfyre in real life quite a bit. And the idea that this person could get like some sort of platform and be able to preach what they're talking about is terrifying. People have used religion as an excuse for years to be terrible, to be out, like they're like, oh, I'm a good Christian, and then the next thing, being fucking terrible to gay people or something. Like you can't hide behind that shield, and Deacon Blackfyre doesn't hide behind that shield. He's right out there, like, nobody's saved unless they're with me, or drink the Kool-Aid, guys, drink the Kool-Aid. Like, I think it's terrifying because it's based off of real life ideas that have happened and could happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's pretty. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I just said I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
I forgot what I was gonna say. So
I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. Wait, how many more people do you have on your list?
I have 2 more people that I want to say.
I also have 2 more people.
Yay!
Yay!
Great minds think alike.
And I didn't even count. I just did whatever.
Same.
So the next one is Mr. Freeze, because of obviously everything you said, so I don't have to say it. So next is your turn.
Okay. I actually, again, put these ones together like I did with the mobsters. I put Cheshire, Lady Shiva, Nissa, and Talia. Now, Talia's the best. I love
Talia is the best.
She's awesome, but Cheshire is a close second. Like, these women are trained assassins, and their 115-pound little booties will slit your throat. I love it. And I seen Grant Morrison yesterday came out. You know that whole thing where it was like Talia basically raped Batman for Damien?
Yeah, I always found that super confusing. I remember my cousin telling me, "Well, it wasn't raped. She just took a syringe, took his DNA, and I'm like, but was it consensual though?"
Well, he came out and actually clarified that it was consensual. I don't know if that counts, but like, I always found that really weird. But like in Son of the Demon and some of the older stuff, the art and stuff was so pretty with her and Batman, and I love that. I'll still stand that, ship until the day I die. It's such a good like dichotomy of good and evil. But these women are league, former members, or even at the time members of the League of Assassins. Their whole training has been to make the world better by killing, make the world better by fleshing out the evil. And so they think their killing is righteous. They think what they're doing is correct. And a lot of like, I know I haven't seen Young Justice. I did see someone say if I like Cheshire, I should watch it. And I think she's more of a hero in it, from my understanding. I'm not sure.
From the Young Justice?
Yeah.
No.
No? Okay. Maybe I misunderstood the comment.
So I believe when you first see her, she's definitely like a villain or an anti-hero. And then so Young Justice does this thing that everybody complained about, and I will complain about it too, are the time skips. Just like, hey, you're watching something and you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen in the next episode? Boom. It's a few years into the future, and you're like, what the frick happened?
Oh no.
And they have to do this thing where it's like they rather say what happened or there'll be flashbacks of what happened, and I'm like, I don't like that. Because first you see Cheshire is like, doing her baddie stuff, and then next time you see her, she has a freaking kid, and I'm like, what? How?
Is it Leanne?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is.
That's awesome. I gotta watch the show. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it that Leanne's kind of back now too, and they're exploring that idea. It's so cute. You know what? When I watched Demon Slayer, the mask actually really reminded me of Cheshire's mask. I love those masks though. I need one of those masks. I need it. It's so cute.
Literally just go to any convention and they'll sell it, or you can also get them online. But be careful where you get them online.
I love Amazon. I think Amazon's the best. I'll check Amazon.
Hopefully.
They're so cute. They really are. I like them a lot. So who did you have?
Man, I should have picked Cheshire too.
I know, she's great. She really is. She's one of my favorite. And, my cat.
So the next one is Firefly from The Batman.
Ooh, very good pick.
So different origin story from the Batman animated series. So in The Batman, he doesn't really have an origin story. Again, he's just like some other people, just a person who just came out of nowhere and is just doing bad stuff, not much of an origin. But there was something that later happened in the series where he like got a girlfriend and she was like very smart, and I guess she was like messing with like his gear or something. Something happened. He ended up having a full body of fire, and that didn't work out well for him.
Oh no.
In the animated series, I guess he was just like, he had a girlfriend, they were not boyfriend girlfriend anymore. He got angry, wanted to hurt her or something like that, or get her back or whatever. I honestly do not like those stories because it
Yeah.
reminds me of the Spider-Man animated series where it's literally the same thing, but the guy that's made out of water with but for Mary Jane. What was his name? Hydro Man or something?
I don't know. I have no
It's not
idea.
Waterman. I think it's Hydro Man. It's got to be. It has to be the word hydro in it.
Yeah,
Also
I'm
played
sure.
by Rob Paulson. And it was too similar to that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not really into this kind of thing. So I would rather him not have an origin like that and just be like a regular bad. Plus his suit is pretty freaking cool.
Yep, Hydro Man. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like the origin where he's like used to kind of a washed up actor.
the acting part was actually interesting.
Yeah, and then like, the accident on set that made it. I think that's a better origin than the same as Hydro Man.
Just take the girlfriend stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. I like Firefly. We're actually going to see him in the new Batgirl movie.
Yeah. I
I'm
saw
so
his
excited.
suit.
You did?
Yeah. The suit is revealed like as a cover or whatever.
Oh, I need to see. I need to see it.
I
That's
like how
awesome.
with the Batman movie, we got the least amount of stuff from the movie in general, except these tiny little trailers here and there. But for the Batgirl, literally go on their Twitter and they're like, hey, here's behind the scenes. Hey, this is a stunt we're doing in the movie. Hey, here's how we do this. Here's how we do that for this scene. Look, it's a clip. Look, it's another clip. And I'm just like, you're just putting everything out there.
You're giving away too much.
I know. I'm just like, how long is the movie? Probably almost 2 hours or something.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I believe it's coming out in December.
I'm on HBO Max. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, might as well just release it now. But they're still working on the movie.
Yeah.
And they even showed like the stunt double, and that's going to be in a particular scene. And I'm like, what? It's not her. And I'm like, man. And I'm like,
Why
well.
do that? That's just too much. Even with the trailers of the Batman, they barely gave stuff away. And I like appreciate that because it's the first movie since I started my channel that I wasn't spoiled upon. I'm like, yeah, buddy, I get to go in this a little blind. So for my last person I want to mention is Ten-Eyed Man. Ten-Eyed Man.
Oh.
He is awesome. So his origin is a little weird. Like, he was a Vietnam vet that was forgotten. During that time when the people came back from Vietnam, people were terrible to them. A lot of them were homeless or suffered from some sort of mental health issue. And he was one of those people walking around burnt and needing help in Gotham and, getting bullied for being in Vietnam, getting bullied over and over again. Well, eventually there's this accident and he has 10 eyes on, an eye on each of his fingers.
Ew.
And it's weird. He doesn't have eyes on his face now anymore, but he's able to use them to see not only now, but the future. He's able to kind of predict things that are going to happen, lay things out in a way that you could follow them and maybe prevent, some sort of, I think he could work as an anti-hero, but he's able to prevent a lot of things from going down, or he's mostly out to help other people that suffer like him. That's what his goal is. He wants to help the sick. He wants to help those that maybe were in a situation where he was. And I really like that, but the lengths he'll go is the problem. He'll hurt, a decent person to help somebody that has a mental health issue. And like, the weird thing about it is he'll just walk up to you and he'll ask, like, in this new Arkham City world, Order of the World, he's like, can I have your jawbone? And the person, of course, is like, no. And he's like, please, I asked nicely. And he takes out somehow is able to remove the person's jawbone without pain. Like,
oh, you said jawbone. I thought you said job.
Oh, no, jawbone, like the whole bone. And just able to remove it. Like, he's got these weird meta powers that are super cool, but like also super creepy. And he could be like such a scary. He reminds me a little bit of Bloom, but not really. Like Mr. Blue. I like Mr. Bloom too, but Ten-Eyed Man is the idea that he wants to help people that are mentally ill. is awesome to me.
Nice.
I love it.
So does he eat?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, because if he has eyes on his fingers, isn't touching things gonna be weird? He's like, if he touches something, he's like, I got dust in my eye.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about. He's got eyelids. I mean, but like so when he licks his finger, like he's licking his eye.
Ew. Bacteria.
Yeah, no kidding. But he's awesome. I love that different kind of origin. Like people really failed the Vietnam people, and then to take that and spin it, and I love it. Another good one I wanted to mention real quick is not go through, but onomatopoeia. I love him. He's so funny. The only way he talks is he's like, instead of saying I'm gonna punch this guy, he just goes bam. Like he just uses the onomatopoeias, and it's so good.
And because of him, I now know onomatopoeias.
That's funny.
Onomatopoeias, and then there's metaphors, and there's similes. Listen, remembering all of that stuff was super hard for me in high school. That's why I always failed English class.
Oh no, it's such a fun word.
F's. Then English class was worse. Except I passed every single class with a B just because I did the work, not because I understood it.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. You poor thing. At least it's fun to say. At least it's fun to say. All right, we are going to wrap up, guys. Is there anyone, you get everyone on your list just to make sure?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, we are going to wrap up, guys. Thank you for listening to us ramble about wonderful Batman villains, and make sure you guys hit like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. Bianca's link will be in the description. Check out her channel. She is awesome, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.